Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of this series. In this series, I'll be teaching you how to use some of the Laravel packages outside Laravel. For example, if you building a PHP application and you want to use some of the packages used in Laravel, that's what I'll be teaching you throughout this series of videos. The first one that we're going to start with is the router. So let's go ahead and head over to the Laravel package and see if we can get the Laravel router so that we can see how we use it without using the Laravel framework. So let's go ahead to the packages, and here we're going to grab our uh, router. So we'll be using the Autoload router, so the first one here, and we're going to grab this one. So let's just go ahead and copy that. I'm going to my server or webroot. So here I'm using XAMPP. If you're using WAMP, you can navigate to public folder. So here I'm going to create a new folder, and this folder I'm just going to call it small. So I'll call it small like that. And here I'm going to go ahead and open the small folder on my text editor. So I'm going to be using the VS Code for this tutorial. So I'm going ahead and open the small folder on my text editor, and here I'm going to launch the integrated terminal. There we go, and I'm going to collapse the output panel, and here I'm just going to paste what we copied from the Laravel packages, and here just going to enter, and that should start installing the Autoload router into our small folder. Alright, and now the Autoload router is installed successfully into folder, and in this folder I'm going to create another folder. So let's go ahead here, and we're going to create a new folder, and this folder I'm going to call it up like that. So it's not inside vendor, so let's just remove it, so it's outside. So inside the app, I'm just going to create another folder as well. In this folder, I'm going to call it config, where our configuration file will sit. And inside the config, I'm going to create a file, and this file I'm just going to call it config. So I'm going to call it config.php, and here I'm just going to put the PHP starting tags, and now here I'm going to define our base path. So let's go ahead and define a constant. So define, and constant that I'm going to define is a base path for application. So let's go ahead and say base path, and this should be equal to the real path, and then we're going to grab the directory, so dir, and then after that we're going to append the most outer directory, so just like that. After that what I want to do, I'm going to bring in the auto router through the Autoload. So let's go ahead and say require once. So require once, and what I'm going to require is here we should put some quotes like that. What I'm going to require here is the Autoload. So I'm going to say require once, then dir, and then I'm going to append the path. Again, we should have that. And it's inside the vendor folder. Then inside the vendor folder we have Autoload.php. So all the files that we install using the composer will be autoloaded through this file. After that, I'm going to create, so we've created our configuration file. After that, I'm going to create yet another file, and this file I'm going to create another folder inside the app. So inside the app, I'll create another folder and I'll call it Bootstrap. And inside Bootstrap, I'll create another file and I'm going to call it init.php. And I'm going to initialize the PHP using the PHP open tags. And here I want to start the session if the session is not already started. So I'm going to say if it's not set, and what is not set, it's not set, and what is not set is session. So session, if session is not set, I'm going to go ahead and start the session if it's not started. So I'm going to say session start. That is, if the session is not started, I'll start it. And after that, I'm going to require the configuration file that we created just a moment ago. So I'm going to say require once, and I'm going to head over to navigate using the dir. Then I'm going to append where the configuration file is stored. So it's stored inside the it's created inside the app, then config, and then the config.php, like that. So after that, we are going ahead and I'll create another folder as well. I'm going to create another folder inside the app, and this folder I'm going to call it routes, like that. And inside routes, I'm going to create a file, and this file I'm going to call it router.php. This file will be a class, and this file will be responsible for dispatching our routes. So I'm going to call it router, like that, and I'm going to initialize it by using the PHP open tags. I'm going to collapse the terminal, we don't need it for now. And now I'm going to say the namespace of this file will be up, like that. I'll go ahead and say use Auto Router like that, and now I'm going to create the class itself. So class, and the class I'll call it router, just like the file. Don't need to extend. I don't need to implement any other classes. Inside this class, I'm going to create 3 properties of this class, and the first property is going to be a protected property. So protected, and this property, the first one, I'll call it much. That's the first one. The second one will also be protected property, and I'm going to call it controller. And the third and last one is also protected, and this one I'm just going to call it method, like that. So we have the match, the controller, and we also have the method. After that, I'm going to create a constructor of this class, and I'm going to say public construct, like that, and this construct will receive the Autoload object. So Autoload, and I'm just going to say Autoload is a router, like that. Then after that, I'm going to initialize my property. So I'll start with this, and this refers to this property. So this much, the first one is this much, will be equal to the router that we get here. So will be equal to a router then much, then the match method, like that. And then after that, we're going to create our a variable here, and this variable, I'm going to call it match, like that. And I'm just going to say it will be equal to router then match, like that. So if we get a match, then we're going to store it to this variable here we are calling match. And then after that, let's check if we're going to get a match. So to do that, I'm going to write an if statement, and inside the condition of this statement, I'm going to say if this match. So if this one returns true, so if this matches, or this one returns true, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a list, and this list is a list of the first item of the list will be controller, and the second item will be a method, like that. And then after that, I'm going to assign this one to explode. I'm going to explode these, and our explode character will be the @sign, and then after that we'll pass this, then much, and this one it's an array and has the target, so much target, like that. Like that. Then after that, I'm going to say this controller. Remember, this controller is our protected property that we defined on top here. So this controller, we're going to assign this controller to the controller inside the list. So this controller will be the same as the controller from the list. And the same we're going to do for the method. So we're going to say this, then method will be the same as the method from the list, like that. Then after that, I'm going to, so if this one matches, we continue with our code, but if it doesn't, we note that the page is not found. So what we're going to do as an else statement of this if, you're going to just echo something, show the user that maybe something went wrong. And what I'm going to say, just going to say the page you are looking for could not be found, like that, so as to let them know the page that they're looking for could not be found, like that. So after that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to check also, let's write another if it's callable. So if is callable, and what is callable, it's an array. So inside this, I'm going to have an array, and now inside this array I'm going to have new and new. Then we have this controller and this method. So we have let's go ahead and just write it, this controller and also the method. So this controller and this method, like that. So after that, if that's true, then we're going ahead and call the user function array. So we're going to say call and user function array or user func array, and this array, it's going to have an array. So array, like that, and now this array, it's also going to bear the same as the one we had above. So let's go ahead and just copy it and put it there. And after that, we're going to have the second part of this, and the second part is the parameters. So array, and this one is going to have the match of the parameters. So it's going to say this this, then match, and then it's an array, and then inside we're going to say params, like that. And then we're going to okay, so going to close that one there. So if it's callable, we call it. If not, we say else. Else we say let's echo to the user. So we're going to echo the method that they are looking for. So we're going to tell them the method that they are looking for, it's not found. So method that they are looking for, which is the method, then here we're going to tell them the method so the method that was not found on controller, and now here we put the controller that they were looking the method from. So was not found in controller. Remember, this is the controller that we had here inside the list, like that. And now we can go ahead and close that, save, and now we are through with this file for now. After that, I'm going to create another file still inside the routes folder. So I'm going to go ahead, create another file, and this file I'm just going to call it web.php, and inside the web.php I'm going to start the PHP with PHP tags, and then I'm going to write a variable. This variable, just going to call it router, and I'm going to initialize it to a new instance of the router class. So new auto router, like that. And then here I'm going to write the router map. So using the router that we defined above, I'm going to say router, then map. We're going to map to let's first map to get, and then the path of this get method will be the default, which is the first page you see, and this one it's going to map to a controller that we've not created yet, but we're going to do so. So up, then controllers, and then we are going to call this controller home controller, and then at the method we're going to call it index, and then the name, you can pass the name of this route, and the name will just be index, and this is supposed to be backslashes, not forward slashes, like that. And then I'm going to terminate my line. So let's go ahead and create the home controller. So inside the app, I'm going to create a new folder, another folder, and this folder I'm going to call it controllers, like that. And inside the controllers, I'm now going to create the home controller. So let's go ahead and do that. So home controller dot php, which will be a class, and this home controller is going to have some methods. So let's go ahead and initialize the PHP file using the PHP opening tags. And what we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to namespace my file and just going to say it's up. Then after that, I'm going to say controllers. And then after that, I'll create my class. So let's go ahead and say class, and the class will be the same name as the file, so home controller, like that. I'm going to remove, we don't need to implement or extend any other class. And here I'm just going to create one method, so, or one function. So I'm going to create a public function, so, and I'm just going to call it index, like that. For now, it's not receiving any arguments or any parameters from the request. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to echo this is index method from home controller, like that. And now we've created that controller that we've used in our web here. Let's go ahead and we're going to create our another file, but this file now will be outside the app folder. And this folder, I'm going to call it public, to be a public folder. And inside the public folder, I'm going to create another file, and this file I'm just going to call it index. So let's go ahead and create a new file inside the public. In this file, I'm going to call it index.php, like that. So initialize our page or file using the PHP opening tags, and then we're going to require once, and what we're going to require is the bootstrap init, the init file inside the bootstrap folder. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, I'm going to say slash and slash, then inside app we have bootstrap, then after inside the bootstrap we have the init file, like that. And now we've required our init file inside the index file inside the public folder. After that, we are going to create an Apache file. First of all, outside here, inside the small folder and outside all the other folders, going to create one Apache file. Let's go ahead and say .ht access, like that. And in this file, we're only going to say that we are going to inform these files that our index or our main file that should be run first, it's located in the public folder. So let's go ahead and do that. So here I'm going to say if module, then mod is rewrite .c, then I'm going to close that, then I'm going to close the if module, like that. And then inside here, what I'm going to do first is say rewrite engine. Make sure that rewrite engine is set to on, like that. Then we have a rewrite rule, and the first rewrite rule will be this one. So then $, and then public, like that, then slash, and we're going to pass our welfare. That's the first rewrite rule. And the second rewrite rule here will be something like this. Then public, and then slash $, and 1. Then again we have that, and that's what we need for now for this file. So let's go ahead and save that. After that, we're going to write another htaccess module or another htaccess file inside the public folder. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to say htaccess, like that. I'm going to open it, and this one I'm going to say a rewrite then engine. Make sure the rewrite engine rule is set to on, and then after that we're going to have rewrite conditions. So rewrite con, and we're going to just pass percentage, then brackets, then quest underscore file name, and then exclamation mark, and then -f, and then after that we have a rewrite rule which will be just dot, then index dot php, and what we're going to pass after that is like that. So let's go ahead and save that. After that, we are going to open our JSON, our composer.json. So let's go ahead and open that. What we want to do is to autoload our classes located inside the app folder. So let's go ahead and do that. What we're going to say, going to pass another property inside these inside this object, and this one it's going to be Autoload, like that, and then it's going to be initialized to an object, and here we're going to say you're going to have our PSR, so PSR then 4, and what we're going to set this one to is the app folder. So let's map our, let's go ahead and map app. This one will be mapped to app, like that. So we go ahead and save our file. Make sure there's no error in our file. So I'm going ahead and I'm going to save that, and now that to take effect, we're going back to our terminal. I'm just going to clear my terminal, then I'm going to say composer, then dump Autoload, and generated the Autoload files successfully. So after that, let's go ahead and see our, so we have our web, correct, our router, it's okay, our web, it's okay, our router, we've done whatever we want to do. This one, it's bringing in the Autoload. Then here we have a bootstrap that, and inside the bootstrap we have the config. So what we are going to do now inside the bootstrap, we are going to bring in the web.php. So let's go ahead and do that. What we're going to do, we're going to say require once, and then what we're going to require is the web.php. So let's go ahead and do that. So dir, and then instead of doing that, let's go ahead and just say require, then inside app. So we're going to say require, then app, then inside app we have routes, and then inside routes we have the web.php, like that. And now let's go ahead and initialize our router, and we're going to say new, then backslash new, and backslash up, and again backslash router, and this router is going to take the router like that. Remember, this router, we have it coming from the web here, we have it here, and this file is being imported to you, or is being brought in inside the init.php, and so we have this variable available in this file. So let's go ahead and save that. Check out our XAMPP, see that our server is running. So let's start our server. After that, let's go to our browser. Let's try to see if we have an error. Localhost, and the file folder is small, like that. Public, require once, we have an error. So let's go ahead and see what's happening. So here, what we can do, we can just do away with this dir. Then here we can just say remove that, save again, go back to the browser, reload, and now we have a new error which says class app router not found. So what we can do is go back to our init, okay, then config, and inside our config file, that one looks pretty much okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to head over to the app folder, then I'm going to get the the bootstrap folder outside, and now it's outside the app folder. And here I'm going to say dot like that. Okay, like that. I'm going to save again, and I'm going to head over to the browser once more. Equal once up inside our index. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our index. So public index, and inside the index we require the bootstrap. So we are inside the public, we go outside, then we get into the bootstrap, then in app bootstrap, so we don't get to any app like that. Save, go back to the browser, see if that one works. Init config failed to open, so we go again to our init file. Inside the bootstrap, then init, and we have app config. Try to do that. Go ahead and save. Class app router not found. Let's head over to our composer.json, and here let's try to pass up instead of all caps. Go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and autoload again. Okay, head over again to the browser, and still we have nothing. Okay, let's do one more thing while we are here and see if that will help us. Let's go ahead and close this one out. Then we're going to write config. Oh, then this one should be an object, and then we're going to optimize our autoloader. So like that, I'm going to pass true. After that, we're going to run composer dump autoload again and see if that one will help. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead to the browser and see, and there we are. So it says this time around the page you're looking for could not be found, meaning that we have an error in the our request objects, that the method and controller. So let's go ahead and see what is happening. Okay, let's check a few things. First of all, let's start with our Apache file, which is htaccess, and this one should be mod like that. Let's save, go back to the browser, and still get the same. Okay, let's go to our web here, and let's just try to pass the whole URL. So it's small, then inside small we have public like that. Let's head back to the browser, and now we have it. So we can see that we have this is the index method from home controller, and remember that what we had in our home controller here. So that means our router is working correctly, And that's how to use the router or auto router in your PHP project if you don't want to use Laravel framework. So you can go ahead and use the router uh, in your application. We're going to stop this video here. In the next video, we are going to see how we can use the .env or um, environment file that which we can set our constants so that we can use them somewhere else. So remember, this is a series that will be creating or will be showing you how to use some of the most important Laravel packages outside the Laravel. We will do the Laravel Illuminate database, we will do the .dev, we will do the the blade templating engine here, and so many and so forth. Even we'll be doing the Laravel mix. So this series will continue like that and like that. Please, if you feel like there's a package you want to use out there, it's not clear how you can use it outside the Laravel framework, please let me know, comment down, and I'll see what I can do. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. You can subscribe to this channel so that you get the latest videos that I make. You can subscribe, you can like, you can dislike if you don't like the video. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one where we'll be seeing how to use the .dev and other packages outside the Laravel framework. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.